Hi, this is Marek from Tryb Solo. Today I have a small game to show you. It's called Beacon Patrol. It was released by Pandasaurus Games, and thanks Pandasaurus for sending it for review. It's a tile placement game for 1 to 4 players, and what is quite unique is that this is a cooperative game, so it's different than a lot of this type of games on the market, because here you have to work together with other players to score as many points as you can. Now I would like to show you how the game plays, and then I will tell you what I think about Beacon Patrol. This is how Beacon Patrol looks like during play. I have added a few more tiles here so you can see how it looks like, because initially you only start with this one tile and then other tiles you will add during your turns. But this is how it looks like when there are more tiles already here. You have different seas and lighthouses and islands here. You will use your ship. Each player has got a cool wooden ship, and you will use the ship to explore different locations. There are a lot of tiles here. These are the tiles that you will draw from here and add to your hand and then to the play area. The game continues like this. You will add new tiles here until all the tiles here are gone, and then you will score points for explored locations. During your turn, you always have 3 tiles, and you also have some movement tokens. The number of movement tokens depends on the player count. When you play solo, you have 4 of them, and you will use the movement tokens to move your ship. This is a cooperative game, so the solo rules and multiplayer rules are almost the same. In your turn, you can do basically 3 things. You can either take one of the tiles that you have in your hand, and you can add the tile to the play area. For example, if I would like to add this tile somewhere here, I can do something like this, and I can move my ship here. And this is one action you can do. Add a tile and immediately move your ship to the tile that you place. Of course, you have to add the tile. It has to be adjacent to other tiles. You cannot do something like this because it needs to be adjacent to at least one of the tiles already placed. This is one of the actions that you can do. The other action you can do, you can spend 1 movement token, so you flip it to the red side, to move your ship somewhere. I can spend another token to move my ship here. I can spend another token, for example, to move my ship here. When I'm here, I can add another tile here and move here. So you can either spend your movement tokens to move, or you can add new tile and move onto this tile. Placing a tile and moving on this tile doesn't require to spend movement tokens. You only use movement tokens when you move your ship around without adding new tiles. And for example, let's say that I added this tile somewhere here. I have no more tiles. My turn ends. I take 3 new tiles from the stack, and another player can play. If I have any tiles left in my hand when my turn ends, and for example I don't want to add these tiles that are left here, or I cannot, because sometimes you cannot add tiles, because when adding tiles you have to follow some rules. Like for example, when you have the islands here, the land needs to be connected. For example, I could connect these tiles like here, because now they have a black border and it makes sense, but I couldn't place this tile like here, because here you have sea, here you have land, and they don't, the artwork doesn't, fit. So if there are any tiles in your hand and you cannot place them, you have to discard them. You can also discard one of the tiles in your hand to move one additional tile. So when you don't have the movement tokens, but you really want to move somewhere, you can discard one of the tiles in your hand to move one additional spot. But basically, you take one of the tiles, you add it to the play area, or you flip your movement tokens and you move around. When your turn is over, you take 3 new tiles, you discard the tiles that remain in your hand, you take 3 new, and you flip your movement tokens to the active side. And that's basically it. Another player is doing the same, and then you and another player, depending on the player count. You can play from 1 to 4 players. As I said, the game ends when the tiles are over and you score points. Okay, you can do one additional thing when you play with 2, 3 or 4 players. Once during your turn, you can swap one of the tiles with another player. If another player has got a tile that you really want and you want to add it somewhere, once per turn you can swap one tile with other player. When you play solo, you don't have other players, so you cannot do it. But instead, if you play solo, at the end of your turn, you can leave one tile. You don't have to discard it. You can leave one tile for future turn. When the game is over, you have to score points. Each player has got a cool card with some info what actions you can take, but also that explains how you score points. This is a cooperative game, so all players score the same area here. You get 3 points for each explored lighthouse, and explored means that this tile has got adjacent tiles in all directions. So a tile is explored when it's not, for example, this one will not be explored because it doesn't have a tile here. This one is also not explored because it doesn't have tile here or here. But this one is explored, this one, for example. Explored tile needs adjacent tiles in all directions. So if you have explored lighthouse, for example, this one, you will score 3 points. This lighthouse will score you as well 3 points because you have other tiles here, 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 and here. If you have a beacon buoy, it will give you 2 points when it's explored, and a regular tile that is not a beacon or is not lighthouse will score you only 1 point. So 3 points for lighthouses, 2 points for beacons, and 1 point for other tiles. And you see how many points you get, and then you have this scoring table here. You can check how did you do. Depending on the number of points you got, you can see how well you played. Additionally, in the box you have 2 mini expansions. One is called windmills, and you can add them to your game, and windmills will also score 1 point when they are explored, but they will give you 1 additional point for each sea tile that is adjacent. So for example, if this tile will not be here but you will have a windmill here, this windmill will give you 1 point because it's explored and 1 additional point for this sea location. Sea location cannot have any land on it, so this is additional way to score points. And the second mini expansion is called piers. You have these bridges, and when you connect them to lands, for example like this, you will score additional points for number of houses. You have a small houses printed on the different tiles for the number of houses that are connected with this bridge. So the basic game is very simple. If you want to add some additional rules, you can use the windmills expansion, or you can use this piers piers expansion, and they will add additional ways to score the game. If you use them, you have different scoring table. If you use one expansion, you need to score more points to have a better result. With 2 expansions, you have to score even more. So this is how the game plays. Solo, multiplayer, there are no differences. The only difference is that if you play solo, you cannot swap tiles with other players, but you can leave 1 tile for future turn, and this is how the game plays. As you have seen, Beacon Patrol is a quite simple game because you basically have 2 actions. You can either place a tile on the map, on the player area, or you can spend your movement token to move to another tile. So this is very, very simple. It's a simple game to teach it to other players, or it's a great game to play with kids. My daughter is 7 years old and she really likes Beacon Patrol because first she doesn't like competitive games. She doesn't like to play against me, and so she was quite happy that she can play this game with me, but we will work together to score points. And also, as I said, the rules are quite simple. So apart from the scoring, where you have to remember that you get 3 points for the lighthouse and 2 points for the buoys and 1 point for other tiles, that's basically it. But still, even though it's quite simple, you have to, think how to plan your moves and how to lay tiles, because there are some rules on tile placement, especially the islands and the houses, the artwork. It has to match other tiles when you add the tile to the table, and it's not always easy, because sometimes you have 3 tiles in your hand and it's not really obvious what to place where, especially if you want to score a lot of points, because you have to surround the lighthouses and the buoys with other tiles, so they will be explored and will give you points at the end of the game. There is no win-lose condition here. You just score your points at the end of the game. You have to write them down and compare it to some scoring sheet in the rulebook to see how good you played. This is for me at least basically only disadvantage, because I would like to have a win-loss condition, like for example that you have to explore 5 lighthouses or something like this, because it will give you some tension, because normally when you play this game is quite relaxing and calm, because you don't have to hurry and you don't have to worry that you will do something wrong, because basically you will just score less points. But on the other hand, this game is, as I said, relaxing and entertaining, and it's great to play with kids or with people that doesn't play a lot of complex games. So it's great entry-level game. I really like the artwork in this game. It's blue and the islands are black and white. It looks really good on the table. The whole game, especially with this small box, is a perfect game to take with you on holidays or on a trip. It's a small box, you can always throw it into your backpack. There are 2 small expansions inside, as you have seen, one with windmills and one with piers, bridges. So they give you additional ways to score points, and they add some complexity to the game, because you have to think about more things when you place your tiles on the map. But basically it's a very fun, entertaining, easy, light, relaxing game. If you want to play with kids or with some inexperienced players, it's a great game to show it to them. Thank you for watching. Visit me on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. You will find links in the description of the video. Also, you will find links to Pandasaurus Games website, where you can get this game. Click the like button if you like the video, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.